Hey everyone, I had the opportunity to sit down with writer-director Joshua Criss, and we discussed his found footage classic Leaving D.C. It's one of my favorite found footage movies of the last several years, and it was a lot of fun discussing with Joshua all the little secrets that went into making such a clever movie. I hope you enjoy the interview. I hope you're doing safe and you're being safe and healthy wherever you are.
Yeah, I feel fine. It hasn't been an issue for me or my family yet. I kind
Excellent.
of just wish it would all go away.
Yeah, me too. So I'm just gonna get down to it, and like I said, I'm a huge fan of Leaving DC, and I just want to know: are you a found footage fan in general?
I wouldn't say in general, but my favorite scary movie of all time is the classic, Blair Witch. That's the only movie that genuinely really terrified me.
Here,
I saw it in
not
the
to be
theater.
weird, but
Oh wow, yeah. So I take it you're a hardcore fan. That's pretty impressive.
yeah, it pretty much. I mean, I was already a horror fan, but it pretty much changed my perspective of the genre, and I just became like obsessed with anything that was found footage after.
Yeah, so well done. And they really just knocked it out of the park. And it's particularly amazing that the film that's launched the genre, in my opinion, is still the best example of the genre. It hasn't been surpassed, not in my opinion anyway.
But you're a horror fan in general, I take it.
I am. Not a rabid, she was meowing for me, so I'm just bringing her
That's
up here.
okay.
But you put a list that I saw of your 10 favorites in 2010 to
Oh yes,
2020.
yes, yeah,
And I think our tastes are actually remarkably similar.
cool.
I thought The Witch was amazing,
Yeah, great
outstanding.
film.
That was really an eerie film as well. That unsettled me. And I also am a fan, not so much, but Sinister. I thought is a really high caliber film, particularly the soundtrack on it. The
Yes.
composer for that.
So how did you come up with the concept for Leaving DC?
It, although I wouldn't say I'm a lot like the character Mark Klein, I there are a lot of parallels. I had lived in DC for a long time, and I was fed up with it, and did buy a house in the middle of nowhere uh, to get away from it all.
But not that house.
It was that house.
Oh, okay.
I created a fictional county and town for it. In reality, it was the town of Cape and Bridge, West Virginia, which is about 2 hours away from DC rather than the 4 hours in the extreme remoteness that I kind of led,
Yeah.
the script to. So I had that house and I had been living there for, I don't know, probably only about 6 months. And I'm a very light sleeper. So I had the window open,
Mm-hmm.
which I had never been able to do living in DC, of course. And I heard something outside the window. I was completely dead asleep. To this day, I still don't know what it was. In my memory, it sounded like a female scream that started low and then reached this crescendo that just, it woke me up,
Wow.
terrified me,
Yeah.
absolutely terrified me. When I woke up, I was confused. I thought it had been human. I wasn't sure what was going on. And really, I can't tell you how scared I was. It made an impression on me where I thought about it in the days ahead.
Mm-hmm.
I have some skill with video and audio, so I thought, well, I am here in the middle of nowhere and I have lots of time. Maybe I should try to put a little project together based on that idea. What if things didn't get better and it never happened again, which of course it didn't? What if it got worse and worse and I found that there was a backstory to it?
I was gonna ask you how you structured the screenplay. What did you have like the concept, and then you basically just filled in the blanks as you went along, or is everything sort of set in place at the beginning?
I think I had a pretty good idea of like a structure. I probably came up with an outline for it. Every scene did have the script fleshed out pretty well. I'm not one of those improvisational people.
Okay.
You hear a lot of people in found footage, I've heard them say, and even comedies, where they say, well, we just had an idea and we ran with it in an improv sense.
Yeah.
I like to be a little bit more meticulous. So in every scene, I
Yeah.
had a pretty strong idea of what I was going to say and what the other characters were going to say.
And Mark is a character who he has, I don't know, he has some issues, and he also seems to be a man who's sort of a bit unraveling and is at a crossroads in his life. And when I was watching the film for the first time, I thought maybe the noises he was hearing was some sort of like Polanski-esque repulsion. You know, is it or is it not happening? Did you ever think of going in that direction, or were you like, no, it's gonna be for real?
Yeah, at the time, I'm pretty sure I had wanted to incorporate that element of uncertainty because that I added the references, all his references to the medications he was on.
Right.
So I thought that might make people more inclined to think that some of this might be in his head. But I don't think I had that strong of an idea that it could be hallucinations. I wanted to add a bit of ambiguity, but I don't think it was really a solid idea. It's been more people like yourself and other people who have contacted me or I've seen reviews on who have taken that idea of their imagination,
Okay,
use their imagination and gone with it.
now, do you believe in the supernatural?
Oh boy. You know, I think at this point I'd be happy to see something that scared the wits out of me
Oh
because
man.
I'd love to see evidence that there's something out there.
Right. So you would want to see something like in front of you as opposed to a video online of evidence.
Oh, definitely.
Oh man. Okay, you're braver than I am. Now the woman in the movie is your mother, am I correct?
That's right. Yeah. So we go a bit stir crazy here in the Vermont winters. We're up in central Vermont.
Okay.
So she actually was the one. She's an artistic personality. So she had suggested to me, look, you know, rather than going nuts, why don't you work on another movie? She knows that's the kind of thing I like. And she volunteered. She said, I'll be in it if you want me to. So we bounced a couple of ideas, and I said, well, what about this guy who's like this loserish alcoholic dude who thinks that he's taking advantage of an older woman like yourself, and then it turns out she's actually using him instead. And so we just kind of bounced some ideas off each other, and then I spent the winter writing the screenplay. And
was it a drastic difference writing something that's found footage and then a script that's like a real hefty script?
The execution phase was a huge difference.
Yeah.
Where Leaving D.C. was so much easier, where I could just point a camera at myself and do take after take until I was satisfied with it.
Right.
And I had the perfect idea of what I wanted, being the writer and director. And then it's a lot more unpredictable and difficult to have to involve other people and say, okay, this is what I want out of you.
Now going back to Leaving DC, the scenes when you're listening outside to the sounds, were those sounds live or were those added afterwards?
All those creepy nature sounds like the owls and the foxes that I got, those were legitimate from the recordings I got right outside my windowsill.
Oh, so that's very cool.
Yeah, so it was just a great kind of eerie ambience all by itself. The flute playing, I think I actually got, because it's a fairly common classical piece. The Prelude to the Afternoon of a Faun, Debussy. So I found some student. I don't want to infringe on anyone's copyright, but yeah, I just pulled a clip from YouTube of a student playing that piece and then just chopped it up and used it as needed.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Because it was so, when I was watching the film, it really struck me because I watch a lot of found footage, and I had never seen a found footage film like this, and I think it stuck with me because it was just so interesting and it had a really good mystery to it. And also, much like Blair Witch, sort of the less you see, the better. And was it always your intention to make it more of like use your imagination type of scenario?
Yes. Number one, because I so admire Blair Witch like you do.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that imagination can be a lot scarier than what you see. And number two, not having Hollywood type resources, it kind of lent itself
Right.
to keeping things subtle. It
Right.
probably would have been a big mistake if I tried to create a scary creature or something.
Now the cat skull.
Yeah,
Now that I know you're a cat fan,
I am.
Was that always your intention to have a cat skull in the movie, or are you like, oh, that would be really cool?
Boy, you've opened up a can of worms with this question, really. But I had a motorcycle at the time, and I was riding around West Virginia with a garbage bag in the back of my motorcycle seat, prepared that I was going to get the next dead cat I saw on the side of the road. Use it for this. Yeah. So finally, it was July, and I passed this cat, and I'm like, well, I'm probably not going to get another opportunity anytime soon. I better do it. It was so foul that I just had to kind of disassociate from what I'm doing. I'm like, if I really contemplate where the smell is coming from right now, it's going to be hard to deal with. So I took it out, and I had a machete, and I lopped its head off, and then I buried. Yeah, and I left the body. Well, I took some pictures of it first. You saw, like, I
with the note. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So the cat was in that highly decomposed. You could see flies on it.
Yeah.
The cat was in that state. That was the same day I found it. So
wow, I always thought that was a fake cat.
Oh yeah, no, some poor kitty gave it. He was already dead, but bless him wherever he is. I hope he's happy somewhere. Mm-hmm. But so I left the body where it was, and I'll tell you, within an hour, like birds, like crows and turkey vultures had just descended on this thing.
Wow.
And just made quick work of it. But I buried the head, and after, I don't know, maybe a month in the ground, I dug it back up, and it was that clean.
Now the ending.
Yeah.
Is Mark gone, or are we gonna see him again?
Oh, people who have contacted me about it or just written reviews, I know that the ending is a problem point for a lot of people, either the ambiguity of it, but I think actually I maybe let people down by just ending it so abruptly rather than a more conventional kind of climactic ending. Originally I actually had an alternate version. When I first did the film, I had to end with a single gunshot. Some people told me they liked it better than the multiple gunshots, but I wanted to suggest that he was shooting at whatever he saw, whereas
and not at himself.
Right, and most people interpreted the single gunshot as that he killed himself. I guess they both have their merits as far as filmmaking goes. And then, of course, the idea of the whatever it was manipulating the camera instantly on his bed. And if I could have done it better, I would have had the camera perhaps float up a little more ethereal.
And do you have any other projects in the works?
Not currently. I got a bit burned out after The Caretaker, and I thought, well, I'm going to take a bit of a hiatus from creative projects for a few months after I finished The Caretaker. I did write a book that's up on Amazon as well. It's a horror novel. And I think, I could always write another book if I felt like the creative urge.
What's it called?
It's called The Moving Soul.
Well, thank you so much for this. I really enjoyed it. And I just hope more people watch not only Leaving DC, but The Caretaker as well.
Well, thank you, Matt. I'm always glad to talk with people who enjoyed it.
So thank you again. Stay safe and tell your mom I'm a big fan.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it.
And I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Take care.